We started our businesses right around the same time. Because I think I was 23, 24 when I started mine, and so you're right in that same ballpark. One of the things that is very interesting, and you brought up franchising. I love franchising. Todd is a franchise expert. He's my guru of franchising. So one of the things that Todd always says and preaches is, franchisees with partners don't do well. And I've always had this thought of business partner, just that's not going to happen. Like Highlander said, there can be only one, right? But now I look at what you've done, and you've been drastically successful. You've built multiple great businesses. You've invested, and provided funding, for amazing businesses, companies, all over, online travel, neuropharma, whatever it's been. You've done a lot, but you've had some business partners. What is it about what you've built or how you've put things together? You mentioned, business partner, with Guidant. I'm not sure if you have one in Doxa or not, but you do. So, how do you work that relationship? How does that not fall apart? What's the secret sauce? What can our listeners glean about a partnership? Because you did it once when you were young, and then you said, hey, 20 years later, I'm going to do another one. So it must not have been bad the first time. What is the secret sauce, or what do you guys do different that our listeners can learn from?
Yeah. So look, I don't want to be too predictable here, but one of the things I would just start with is I think values really matter, right? So one thing I'll just note is that I'm an extremely social character. For me, I have much more fun in team sports than I do one-on-one. So I just, I grew up playing basketball. For me, that team sport is a place where that camaraderie is built, where you all jump in together, even though there may be a team captain or a coach, right? I enjoy the idea of accomplishing things together. So for me, as a social creature, partnerships actually really work well. Now, I'm not saying that they're for everyone. In fact, it's funny. In my experience, I've seen more partnerships dissolve than succeed. In fact, I think it's a significant gap. The reasons why I think it's worked for me is, and I'll speak to my first partnership, I partnered accidentally with an individual who I'd met just 6 months before we started this business. His name is Jeremy, and he's the CEO of Guidance Day. We ended up together. What we found is that we value a lot of the same things. We think about business similar, but we bring different strengths to the table. But I think the most important thing that we did is that we chose to treat our partnership like a marriage. We actually have a shareholders retreat every single year where we get away, and it's really more for relationship building purposes and dreaming about the future.
Wow.
We hired business coaches, which could be the equivalent of a counselor at times, to sort of help us work through some of the challenges that inevitably come when you're in a business, and you have different roles and responsibilities and titles and expectations. And I think just continuing to recognize that there's no such thing as the separation of work and business. There's something about integrating the two of them that's really important. So making sure that we support each other's families and personal goals alongside the business objectives has been really important. So that is a partnership that has worked out amazingly. Funny enough, I'm sitting right here in Boise, Idaho, where I just built a home. There's one house in between me and Jeremy. Like, we couldn't get enough out of businesses that homes close to each other.
That's awesome.
I mean, you talk about like best friends, business partners. Like, I care about his kids, like he cares about mine. Like, it's just that integration has really worked for us. Now, you fast forward to Doxa. When we started Doxa, there's actually 5 co-founders in the business. So
wow.
From that standpoint, there's 5 of us that said, this is going to be a big opportunity. We have a shared vision, shared values. This is a purpose we care about. And we all jumped in and said, we're gonna build this business together. It is more complex with 5 versus 2, so I'll give it that. But actually, we've taken a similar model in that it is about making sure that we develop great relationships, that we have our own clear areas of ownership and accountability, but that we're moving towards the same thing, and that it's important that we have both that personal and professional connection. So for me, that blueprint has worked out really well. But again, I'm a very social person. If someone isn't, or has a little bit harder time sort of trusting and so on and so forth, I think that's an environment where partnerships can become very challenging and even corrosive at times.